Ciao, paisanos. Welcome back to Calcio Culture. We're back here. We're going one pod a week. You got Vos and Logs on the horn today. No Mott's. He's actually busy. It's his busy season right now. It might be. That is real, Joe. I have no idea. That's a full-on guess. You might not be. But anyway, me and Logs are here. Logs, it's been a while for you.
Been a while, paisans. Good to be back. I've recently been promoted to European football. I'm now playing 2 games a week. When we get that back going, Mons and Vos decided that this 1 game a week gig was pretty enticing. So we're starting to do that. I'm not mad about it. But we're gonna have a action-packed episode here for you, and happy to get back into it.
Yeah, we do got a lot to talk about. In the last week, the international rig, I don't know, a lot's going on. We got a lot of news. We have a new coach in Roma. We have a new coach in Genoa. We're going to be breaking that down today. We're also going to be talking about what happened this last week on the Italian national team's couple of Nations League games. And then we're going to round it out, as always, which are Match Week 13 preview and everybody's favorite segment for Match Week number 13. But before we get into that, we got everybody's second favorite segment. Logs is back. He's got to kick it off. It's actually a weak one for him, but what do we got here, Loves? Everybody's second favorite segment.
We've got a week quick shouts here today, Paizones. However, let them speak for themselves. I'm not sure that people are loving their number one favorite segment these days, but people are for sure loving quick shouts. So with that being said, jumping right into it, we are staying pretty central in Italy these days. Quick shouts is not needed the PJ this time, but in any case, to start us off, very quick hit. Inter, establishing a Primavera squad that's going to play in Serie C. Now, the only reason I bring that up is because I actually learned something this week, that any team, AC Milan has one, Juve has one, I believe Atalanta also has one, that they have Primavera teams playing in the actual leagues. The highest that they can go, because they can get promoted, is one below the mother team. So this Inter squad trying to get to Serie B, they can be promoted. AC Milan's Primavera, I think, has been promoted in the past, but in any case, I do like to see this. I just think that it's a really good investment from a Serie A perspective in our young talent, and it gives them a way to actually play some competitive ball while not playing for the first team. So happy to see that.
Yeah, it just makes sense. At this point, you need one. Here's my question. If you did your research on this, what happens if one team finishes in the promotion spot? Does it just go to like a team that doesn't have a parent club? They go us?
They go to the fourth. Like, if it's only 3 teams being promoted, they go to the 4th team.
Okay.
And you just and you win nothing.
And you get stuck there. You're stuck there.
Right, you're stuck. And you're stuck.
You get called up to the mother team, I guess.
You do. People who are not getting stuck, though. Let me tell you, lads, the transfer season is almost upon us, and it is eating up. We are getting so close to the fire. I love it. I live for transfer news. You can tell me the fakest transfer news of all time. You can tell me the realest transfer news. I don't care. I'd eat it all up and I'd spit it all out. So here we go with that. First one, a up-and-coming name from one of Vos's favorite teams. Vos, who is in Napoli's ear these days?
Yeah, we don't have this. We should have had this organized by most likely to least likely, or there's no rhyme or reason. I'm just realizing that now. But the first one we want to talk about is Bonny from Parma, who's Parma's striker, to Napoli. And it seems like this is very likely at this point. And it seems like Napoli want to push for January. I don't think Parma should do that because they really need him. He's logging big minutes for Parma. He's been very, very good all year. And I understand why Conte would want him. He's kind of similar to Lukaku, but he has a much more delicate touch. And it's probably a little bit more athletic than Lukaku is these days in terms of like being able to run quickly, fast. He's faster, right? He's faster than Lukaku. I think he's a little bit less of a ruthless finisher than we're seeing from Lukaku now. But I think he just offers something that's a little bit different. And we've talked about it a bunch with Napoli. When you drop Lukaku, there's a black hole in that number 9 spot, and they don't really know who to put there. It's been Raspadori, it's been Gio Simeone, and both of them don't really work. So if they can get this one done in January, that's scary. That's really scary. I mean, this is a guy that's been absolutely cooking the league from a team that just got promoted. And you put him in a Conte system when now he's not playing with Dennis Mann and Mihaila. he's playing with Politano and Kvaratskhelia.
Yeah, I haven't done a full scouting report on Boney. I've obviously been a little bit more distracted by the other 2 names that you mentioned there. Also, just haven't been watching Parma because I still think they're fake news. But from that scouting report that you just kind of outlined for us, it seems like a perfect fit for at least what I've been trying to preach that Napoli needs. Because again, like you just said, this Gio backup 9 not working. Raspadori can't find his way. Somebody to come in and just be another Lukaku, that'd be perfect. Not sure how much money they'd be willing to spend on him at this point, especially the deadline window, but another 9 is certainly needed. So if they can get a guy like this, they might have to drop in their budget and go a little bit lower caliber.
Yeah, and I just switched up the schedule here on us really quickly because this is kind of transition to my next point. I think I've been saying it all year. I still think they need another winger. I do think they still need a number 9. I'm not sure they even need a guy that's as good as Boney, although I would like to see it. I definitely think they need a winger. And on that point, where's the money going to come from? Is De Laurentiis going to dish out the cash? The new rumor is that Man U is floating out Zirkzee in cash for Victor Osimhen, which is interesting.
Not to see that.
Because the only one that I had really seen was Zirkzee to Juve, which I think Zirkzee wants to do, and he should do if they can get that done.
100%.
I just don't really. I think for me, this is going to cool off now with Amorim being there, or Manchester United's new manager, where Zirkzee has like a clear way back into the team, or at least they're going to know very quickly. Like if Amorim wants to play with a guy like this, I don't think he does, based off of what's his name, Giorkis at Lisbon.
Giorkis.
Yeah, Jurkis, who's like a more traditional number 9. It's going to be interesting. I would like to see Zirkzee come back to the league. Everybody knew Man U was the wrong move. But, I mean, if he went back to Napoli, this would be very interesting because he would probably be playing off the right, which is where he started his career. And then you have Zirkzee, Lukaku, Kvaratskhelia, which is very scary.
If that does happen, yes, super, super scary. I didn't know that was being floated with Zirkzee and cash for Victor, but that makes a ton of sense in my mind.
Yeah.
Like you said, I think Juve is probably his number 1 spot because it's the least amount of transition that he has to do. My whole thing with the Zirkzee shakeup is I don't understand what Ten Hag's problem was with him. One, he didn't give him a fair chance. It's not like he played a ton for the Netherlands over the summer, so it wasn't like his legs were tired. And typically Ten Hag loves his Dutch guys. So that didn't make a lot of sense that he was out of favor with them. But from my standpoint, Napoli do need to get somebody up front. It's unfortunate that we're even talking that they need another winger because they just spent 25 mil on David Neres, who I still don't think is a great buy, although he's just coming off the bench, so be it. But Zirkzee back to Serie A is something that I think everyone would love to see.
Yeah, the other thing I just thought about on this, if you get Zirkzee, you don't even need to get Boney because, I mean, he could just be – I don't think he would struggle to play as like a pure 9 in the system. Like, I think he would be fine doing that. He just hasn't had to do that really. Like, he's really good at playing as a false 9. But I don't think it would be an issue. The other thing that's interesting about this, and we're going to talk about it, is there's a ton of uncertainty about Dusan Vlahovic right now because he just got hurt with Serbia. And basically, Juventus do not have a striker anymore. Milik is out. Dusan is out. Nico Gonzalez is out. And you're probably back to Yildiz up there or Weah, kind of. And I don't think
maybe.
Yeah, and none of those guys are really going to do it or get it done. So it would be the right time to bring Zirkzee back, and I think Thiago Motta would be ecstatic if they got him.
Correct.
I know Motta would. What did Motta say?
If Motta
said the other day, if Zirkzee joins Juventus, he will be his favorite player in the world.
Yeah, but Motta's track record with saying transfers would be his favorite player have not gone well, a.k.a. Calafiori, a.k.a. Todibo.
Miners he got.
Miners he finally got, although it hasn't panned out much for Miners, but I think he's got to revert to the mean. But in any case, a couple other fellas coming back to Serie A though in the news. Another Juve feller, Federico Chiesa, on the outs from Liverpool. This man can't find a team except AC Milan is lingering. AC Milan is in the shallows, waiting for Chiesa to come back to Serie A, and I'm absolutely loving the prospect of getting that guy and the Rossoneri.
Yeah, this one, is weird for me because I was thinking Roma made sense with the new hiring, which we're going to talk about. I don't think it makes sense anymore. Inter have already said they don't want him. Juventus are not going to go in for him. I don't think Napoli will go in for him. And you kind of get to the point now where I don't even think Milan should go in for him. It's like who? I think Lazio would be decent. I think Fiorentina would be very interesting. If you went Chiesa off the left with Kean and Colpani, I think that could be an interesting one.
I disagree with the Napoli show. I mean, I feel like that's kind of in the price range that they'd be navigating, and I think that would be a perfect fit off the other side of Vieira. So I think that that's an interesting one, especially considering, we think that they need a winger. He doesn't solve their backup 9 per se, but I think that Chiesa is definitely worth a shout for a top of the table, making a run at the Scudetto. You need some more depth up there. That's definitely a shout. Lazio is a great shout. I think that one's perfect. What do you say about Napoli?
Yeah, well, my problem with the Napoli one is I'm not sure he's going to be able to play for Antonio Conte because of I don't know if he has the legs to do that kind of pressing right now, which is my concern versus like getting somebody like David Neres or Joshua Zirkzee, who are like these young guns, don't have any leg issues. Lazio I like too. I think Fiorentina would be the best one, like the return to Florence, full circle. That'd be
Fiorentina will be so cool. That'd be so sick, especially with the road that they're making right now, and especially going with the theme that this whole Fiorentina team is just chip on their shoulder. Chiesa has the biggest chip on his shoulder of anybody that I know, even in remotely connected to Serie A. So I think that would be a absolutely splendid buy for them.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting. We'll monitor that one. The other thing with this one is it's a loan. Like it wouldn't be money thrown. So really anybody could get it done. It's just a matter of who wants to take that. It's not even really a risk.
Not a risk. But I think that's why I think Napoli is a perfect spot because they just there's no downside, and they just get another body in there that's proven in Serie A.
Yeah, but Fiorentina would be so sick.
It would be sweet. It would be sweet. But one more guy kind of ready to come back to Serie A, made a trip to the Prem. It has not panned out as much as he'd like. Dragusin on Tottenham, came from Genoa, was a Defender of the Year candidate at the time when he left Serie A, was on fire, had a great Euros run actually with, is it Romania?
Yeah, Romania.
With Romania, he was phenomenal until the last game. I think he screwed up. He had a couple of pizzas there, but in any case, wants to come back to Serie A. And honestly, who says no? For the right price, who says no to Dragusin at this point? Because it's not that he's playing bad, it's just that he's not playing at all.
Yeah, this one I think would also be a loan. It might be a lot, like they might be willing to part with him, but what I've seen is definite loan. And to be honest, there are a ton of teams that make sense. I think Atalanta makes sense.
Why is Juve not?
Yeah, that was going to be my line. The other team that could really use him is Lazio. You go Romagnoli and Dragusin, that's a much better defensive pairing than you've had.
I think that the thing with Lazio is, though, that their back four has been the same back four for 18 months.
Yeah, but it's also been the worst part of their. It's also been the worst part of their team, like very clearly.
I don't know. Romagnoli's had a fucking season. I hate to say it. He's had a season, but I'm just saying, if I'm Juve, I'm fucking banging on the Spurs' door saying, I want this fucking man. Yeah, but dude, Dragusin's not even wanting to go to Milan right now. Yeah, we're an absolute fucking dumpster fire. No one wants to come to Milan. Juve looks good. Juve need a replacement for Bremer, and Cabal just got hurt. And I think Dragusin really fits in well with the Bremer build. That's why I'm saying
I agree with that for sure,
in particular. So that's
this is one out of all of these guys, all the links, this makes the most sense. Like, I don't know who it's going to be, but he should absolutely be coming back to Serie A. Like, he's going to find his form again. Like, guys like this don't just become bad defenders. Like, he's going to be fine. Like, he was on Genoa and was a standout there, and that's, like, pretty hard to do when you're on. Like, being a standout center back on lower level teams is very difficult. Like, to show, like, oh my God, you're this good. Like, this guy's
we were also talking about the other day. I mean, shout out Packy, Spurs and Napoli fan. Dragusin has been paired with Christian Romero the entire time that he's been on Spurs. And that's not an easy assignment to be a two-back with Christian Romero. And I say that because that guy is an absolute madman. I mean, he has an entire 5-minute highlight tape of just crazy tackles at the midfield line for no fucking reason. So for Dragusin, who's not a ball dominant back, but a physical brute presence, kind of needs a little bit more of a softer pairing, someone that can kind of even him out. And Christian Romero, this is not that guy. So I think it's been a tough situation. Postecoglou just hasn't taken a liking to him as of yet. So I think coming back, proving that he's still good, could do a whole lot of good for this guy.
I would love it. I would love it. Another one that got floated around, another Italian getting a lot of steam right now. Danny Maldini, hot commodity right now to the disdain of Logs, although you have started to come around on it.
A little, I mean, ever since the AC Monza game, I've taken Danny Maldini out of my sights. I think that he has some potential. He's definitely looked a lot better than he did for AC, so I'll give him that. I don't know if Atalanta need him.
I agree. I fully agree with this.
I'm not sure that Atalanta need this guy. I mean, the price tag might be whatever it is. I don't really think it could be more than 20 million still at this point. I still think it's rather high.
Before you keep on, he's heavily linked to Atalanta. That's why Logan said this. That's the big link right now is Danny Maldini to Atalanta.
I got ahead of myself there. I thought Vos already brought that out, but I was too busy trying to make amends with Danny here. But in any case, they don't need him. I think they have enough, not even just talent, but young talent at that spot where he operates, whether it's Lookman off the left, it's CDK off the right, Brescianini through the middle. Pasalic has been playing well. He's not young, but he's still there.
Even Samardzic can kind of play there.
Samardzic can get a forward there. So I really...
And at some point, you have Scamacca coming back. So like...
Right.
Some your rotation.
Yeah, your front line is totally fine, and Danny Maldini is not any type of defender. So, from my perspective, is it a depth find? Maybe, but not needed. I also think that Danny needs one more stepping stone than to go to a top 4 team. I don't think he's top 4 caliber yet.
I don't know. It's interesting. I think the Atalanta move would be very cool because I think Gasparini could probably work wonders with him because why hasn't he? And he could play as the rotator in the number 10 spot or as like the second striker. So I think it would work. But with what's happened, I don't know why Juve don't just get him. Like this is the kind of striker that Thiago Motta wants. He's Italian.
Wait. Hold on. I have to stop you. Why? We're not talking Danny as a 9 now, are we?
Yeah, we are.
Danny's not a 9.
Yeah, I think that's where he would play.
He's like a left wing dude.
Yeah, 9. He's not like he's like a second striker. That's really what Danny Maldini is at his core.
All right.
That's why I put him with Raspadori in terms of how they play as the 9. Like they're a second striker.
You don't like Raspadori?
Yeah, because I think Danny Maldini's a lot better. And that's why I think he would probably work at Juve because Joshua Zirkzee, before he got to Bologna, was a right winger. And then Thiago Motta put him in the middle of the field and made him like that false 9.
Why isn't Danny in the conversation for Napoli then?
That's not what Antonio Conte wants out of his striker.
Fair enough.
But I think with Thiago Motta, this is a budget buy with a relatively high floor in terms of if it doesn't work out, he's your backup striker. And he's good enough to do that in Serie A. Like he's shown that already this year.
Yeah.
And in best case, you probably save, I don't know, 30, 40 million and you have a starting striker.
Best case where fucking hit the jackpot.
But possible.
No, but we'll give Danny his flowers because he's had a good season. He had his first call up for Italy. He's played well. I like what I'm seeing out of Danny Maldini. Where I think Danny Maldini could also go, I don't think they want him, but Fiorentina is looking to make moves in this window. And it's because they're fucking top 3 in Serie A, baby. The Gumar is top 3. The Viola, Fiorentina, home of Calcio. People forget the real Calcio is born in Florence. Don't forget. But they're looking to make some moves here. What are they looking to do?
Yeah, so Fiorentina is capitalizing on their form 100%. Here. They're also looking like fucking geniuses. Yacine Adli, the buyout, they've basically come out and said, we're going to trigger the buyout clause. Milan looks like idiots because Adli should absolutely be in like the running for the top 11.
Yeah, I need to take a second. Vos and I have been on the Yacine Adli train since the day he came over from, what was that team that just literally just got decimated? Bordeaux. We had been on the Yacine Adli train since Bordeaux, and no one would give him the chance. This man loved AC. The barbecues. I mean, I don't know what else I can say. Goes to Fiorentina. The guy's balling. I'm loving to see her.
Well, I mean, what I really think happened here is Pioli very quickly was like, this isn't a guy that I want to use. He also is very much not a Fonseca guy. Like, he's more of like a drift around the field, be a creative force, but you need to be ball dominant or else he's ineffective kind of thing. Because he's not really a counterattacking player.
No. But he's anti-press though. I mean, you can't
press resistant. Yeah, he's very press resistant. I would kind of compare him a little bit, and I'm not saying he's nearly this good. He's kind of like Odegaard in a lot of ways. I think that's.
I was going to say Ozil.
Ozil, yeah, he's similar to Ozil. I think Ozil was a better ball carrier than him.
Sure. I mean, again, not nearly as good as Odegaard or Ozil, but in that same realm. I think that's definitely his player profile, which is kind of it's. I mean, Odegaard, not so much. More so, Ozil is more of like what's the word?
Luxury
about it. He's a luxury player.
Yeah.
And this play style is a luxury player, but it's crazy that Fiorentina is even able to have a luxury player in this lineup at this point, I would say. But it's great to see.
Yeah, and then a couple of other new ads here that they're now working on new contracts for. David De Gea, I mean, Man U looks really fucking stupid. Easily would be the best goalie on Man U right now. And then Moise Kean, they're working on a new contract from him. I'm assuming they're probably going to do something with the buyout clause in that too. Probably raise it because it's 50 right now. But I'm happy with this. I hope they get both of these done. Moise Kean should stay. I don't want him to leave because I'm scared that it would all fall apart.
I mean, I think Moise should stay. Obviously, this has been his best scenario he's had in years and years and years. And then number two, if Fiorentina are able to keep up this form, which do I think it's going to happen? No. Do I see it being a possibility? Yes. If they make Champions League next year, the influx of cash and they use it the right way, I mean, this could be a full squad come 2025, September 2025.
Yeah, the one that I haven't seen that I would like them to figure out is Bove. Because Bove's still on loan from Roma, but he's been good enough where I think it justifies keeping him. And I don't think it would cost you that much money. And number two, from a rollout perspective, there is no longer a spot for Bove in the team because of the players you brought in Manu Kone, Enzo Lefebvre, and now even Pizzilli kind of plays in the same kind of way, similar role. So I think that's a deal that can get done, and all parties would be happy if it did get done.
It's also just a guy that has been in Serie A for so long. You love to keep talent within the league because I think that it's been seen over and over again that the best players are ones that have just had a couple of years under their belt in Serie A. So I think it makes a ton of sense. He's battle worn, especially from his years at Roma. And that, again, like you just said, the Roma midfield is so saturated at this point that it's in the best interest, I think, of everyone if Bove were to stay at Fiorentina for the right price.
Yeah, definitely. I love Fiorentina right now. So my two favorite teams in the league right now, best teams to watch, Fiorentina, Atalanta, and I don't think it's very close.
It's not particularly close. It's certainly not Inter these days, and I can tell you what, it's not the Rossoneri. That wraps up our little transfer window update here. Again, I'm loving what I'm seeing. I think it's going to be a great January window. You don't typically see a ton of action, but with the injuries that have been around the league, I don't think we're going to go quietly through the first month of 2025. So looking forward to that.
And there's a lot of European money in Italy right now because of that.
That
bonus spot last year is meaningful.
100%. 100%. But that being said, Bose, we have some interactions to answer.
Yeah, we do have some
questions.
We do. This isn't even really quick shots. This is just a couple different segments. We did transfer update. And then we did have a question that we thought was interesting from one of the Paisanos. And their question was, who of the major clubs is going to fall out of the top 10? And this was from a Roma fan. So they excluded Roma from the top 10. And that was a little bit difficult of a question when it's which big club is going to fall out of the top 10. And like, there's only usually one. It's Roma. So me and Logs have switched this a little bit. Minus Roma, who do we think isn't going to make a European spot?
And again, these are the classic top clubs. So
Yeah,
I think we're really only
talking.
talking. Yeah, we're really only talking here. Napoli, Atalanta, Inter, Lazio, Juve, AC. I think is really the market we're working with.
And Fiorentina counts.
I wouldn't put Fiorentina as a top. I mean, I guess they're
main in Europe. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they're okay. So Fiorentina's also in there. So those are the top 7 teams of the table as of right now. Who's not making that European spot? For me, I think it's not even close. And the answer is so clear. It's AC.
I agree. I'm shocked. I did not think you were going to say that, and I 100% agree.
It's so clear. I mean, not only are they 6 points back at Juve in the next spot, which I think that'll change obviously as the season goes on.
Game in hand, really important.
They do have a game in hand, which is incredibly important. Which is funny though, because the other team that has the game is Bologna, and they're tied. In any case, this AC team just doesn't have it. It's not consistent enough. They show that they can be good, not even great. They can be good on certain game days and certain match days, but it's not consistent enough to be making European football for next year. I just don't have any belief in the way that this team plays over a month span. They have spurts and they have games here and there where I'm like, damn, like that's fucking sick to be an AC fan. Like we just went to the Bernabeu and blew fucking Real out of their shoes. But then we go back home and Fonseca's blowing some smoke up everyone's ass saying Cagliari's better than fucking Real Madrid. Get the fuck out of my goddamn face. Fuck me, dude. So like that just doesn't instill a ton of confidence for me to be like, yeah, I'll see you in Europe next year.
I agree. And there are a couple reasons for me. What I've been saying all season is that they're like a counterattacking team. And what kicks them out of this for me compared to like Juve, who I think are in a similar situation, is Milan don't control games. So I think they're gonna win less games and lose more games. Where with Juve, they still haven't lost a game in the league. They're gonna get points consistently, and there is like a very clear objective to where they're trying to go. With Milan, that's the only team, honestly, in the top 10 that you can watch and be like, this isn't really a team yet. Like there is no cohesion. There's no group identity. It's a group of individuals just trying to make things happen. And I think what's scary about this is that was kind of our concern with Pioli. But with Pioli, it was a little bit like, well, here's your position at least. And like here's kind of what you're supposed to do. And with Fonseca, like Fofana has a role. That's like kind of it.
Reynolds has a role. Yeah, I mean, the one thing I'll say, and again, it makes me feel bad for Pioli. At least they liked each other.
Yeah, 100%.
Pioli had chemistry for the team. Fonseca's got nothing. He doesn't have positioning. He doesn't have tactics. He doesn't have camaraderie. It's a really tough spot. He's finally got Leao going again, which I think is incredibly massive for the team. I obviously should have realized this from the fucking beginning, but didn't realize how much his performance was going to bring the rest of the team around him. But still doesn't have tail on the right page. Our defense is still an absolute debacle. And I think we have a lot of work to do in the January window where I don't think the ownership's going to do a lot of work. From that being said, though, there's glimmers of hope for the talent level to continue to rise. I still don't think that the play style is ever going to be there. We'll talk about it in a little bit with the preview for this weekend. I think that we have a chance to show that there's some sort of identity, but that is really the biggest difference between Milan and the other top 6 teams is that they do have an identity. There is some kind of tactic. They have a common goal. Milan just don't know how to get the ball from one net to the other, and it ends up being ours for the most part anyways.
Yeah, I mean, so, I think Bologna's better.
Probably not making European football.
That's our prediction. We'll have to ask Mats what he thinks. He'll probably agree, actually.
Well, Mats would agree in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
This guy hates AC. That really sure he does.
Let us know who you think is not going to make European competitions in terms of the really, like, don't say Udinese or Bologna. That is weak. That's a weak guess. Say a real guess. Let us know in the comments. Reach out to us on whatever. I don't give a shit. Just let us know. It's interesting for us to talk about. This is why we love questions from other people. I'll talk about it all day.
Gets us going.
But keeping it rolling, we had some managerial news.
Managerial news.
Genoa sacked Gilardino, I think yesterday, right? Or Sunday? Yesterday? Really weird timing.
Last night. Yeah.
In the last couple of days. We're recording Tuesday, November 19th. I don't know why they didn't sack him at the beginning of the international break. You're halfway, you missed 2 weeks of fully training. You did it halfway through the week. Like you missed a week of training without a new manager.
That's a really good point.
This screams dumpster fire. And then number 2, the guy that they hired, who I actually think is a pretty good character, Patrick Vieira, literally
Crystal Palace legend,
literally has massive issues with Mario Balotelli. They had overlapped at one point, and they were both like, "I don't want to work with this guy ever again." And they both left the club. Like, what is going on? Like, it's terrible.
Yeah, this one blows my mind. I didn't even think about the fact that they waited to the end of a 2-week international break. But the fact that after Vieira and Balotelli being the worst teammates of all time, both at City and at Inter, and then being paired up again at Nice, Balotelli coming out at some point prior to this saying the reason he left Nice was because of Vieira, and then hiring this guy after you just signed Balotelli, it makes no sense. This is why people look at Serie A and are like, these guys are fucking dumbasses, because this just doesn't make any goddamn sense. But Genoa being 2 points off relegation, I think they needed to do something. Genoa kind of sucks.
No, Genoa were kind of bad. Yeah, no, Genoa were kind of bad. So I actually really like the point. I think Vieira is a very good coach. I don't think he is quite at the caliber of taking on like a massive club yet, but he was very effective it was Crystal Palace, right?
He was very effective up until the end.
Yeah,
we had some talent there as well. But
he had talent, yes, but a lot of those guys, like we know now because of what they did under Vieira, which I think will make sense for Genoa. I think he'll be able to elevate the couple guys that do have skill there because there are some players, and I think he will be able to get something out of them. What I do feel bad about is Gilardino is a very good coach. Genoa needed to change though, and I think they will get a manager bump from this, and I think they'll get out of the scary zone. Not immediately. I think it's going to take some time, but I think they're going to get more results. They're going to be better. I would like to see Gilardino join somebody's staff for the time being. I think he's definitely going to have a job in the next year or two, and I would be very sad if this is the last we see of him, because he is very clearly a good coach. So I don't think this is the end. But I'm excited for Genoa. I think this is a good hire. I hate the timing. Very scary time. They might cancel Balotelli's contract. They might just be like, all right.
They might have to.
Fuck.
Yeah. Well, just to go back for a second, if you're not familiar with the type of talent that Vieira is known for bringing up, just to name a couple of people from Crystal Palace, Mark Gahey, who's borderline an $80 million defender. He's got the English tax on him, but a very good player, has now come and did a starter for the national team. You look at Ebereki Eze, who also got called up to the England national team as of late, a great 10, beautiful in the ball. And then my personal favorite, who I reached to Jerry Cardinale in January 2021 to buy this man for $25 million at the time. Michael Olise went to Bayern this past window for $60 million. The guy's an absolute dog. Came up again under Patrick Vieira. So the talent movement from Vieira is exactly in line with what I think Genoa needs. You're 100% correct in that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It is a tough, not the best squad, but they do have a couple.
No. But the good thing is they go Cagliari, Udinese, Torino their next 3 games, which for a new manager, that's not the worst you can ask for. So we'll see. Good luck to Patrick.
Yeah, good luck to Patrick. I would like to see it go well for him. But moving on, the bigger news, really couldn't it be bigger news? The biggest news, maybe.
Maybe the biggest news that maybe ever.
Roma are on their 3rd coach of the season, 12 games in. And who passed? I saw Allegri passed. There was a couple of guys they couldn't get it done with.
Mancini didn't really get the
Mancini didn't really want it at the end of the day. I thought Allegri would be good, but they went a very different direction from that. And they have brought in none other than the legend Claudio Ranieri for his third stint with the club. And my understanding of the contract is he is going to be the manager through the end of the season. And then he is going to be in the management of the club, basically back or front office kind of thing. I don't think he's the director of football, but he's in a similar position. What's your initial reaction to this one? Because I've kind of been mulling this over for a really long time. And just to give you guys an idea, sorry, I should mention this. Claudio Ranieri's last job was Cagliari. He was there for, I don't know, half a season, maybe a full year.
2 years.
Something like that. Yeah, not overly long. And he retired after that. And that was allegedly supposed to be the end of it. So that's a little bit of the background. If you don't know who Claudio Ranieri is, he's the guy that managed Leicester City when they won the Premier League. That's probably his most famous feat.
Oh my God, his most famous feat.
Yeah, for sure. But now back to you. What's your initial reaction here?
I actually really kind of like this one. You know, from all the other options that they had, say either no or not agreeing to the timeline that it was given or just not giving an answer in general, this was certainly the best option. And I also just don't think that this is a bad option in the grand scheme of things. He's coming in, he knows what his job is. He's being a savior for the rest of the season and then moving into management. The guy clearly loves Roma, which is something that they didn't get in Juric, which is something that we talked about a lot, was that Juric came in to a team that he had no connection to. None of the players were his, and his heart wasn't in it. You could kind of just tell from the interviews, from his actions on the field, it just wasn't there. There was no connection.
He did. That's a really good point, because the whole time it did feel like he was this. I think that's the right word. Outsider. That's kind of like the vibe I got.
He was an outsider. He was also apathetic. It just was a bad fit. 53 days was too long for Juric. And I think that having Ranieri come in, who loves the badge, he came out and said that the only two teams that would ever get him out of retirement was Cagliari and Roma just came calling at the right time. So he clearly just knows that his heart's in this one. Whether he does good, bad, indifferent, he's going to give it his all, which I love. Forget the tactics even. I'm happy that they finally have somebody who loves Roma, who's going to get it for the badge. And I think the players are actually going to rally around him quite well.
Good points. For me, my initial reaction was negative towards this. And the more I've thought about it, the more I think it makes sense. And I think this is a very the most sensible thing the ownership has done in quite a while. Well, why I didn't initially like it is my reaction was, this isn't a guy that's like a long-term manager. And then when I realized, you know what, that isn't what they want, which is why I got 1 year, it makes more and more sense. For me, my guess is what the management were thinking here was, nobody's going to turn on this guy. The situation can't get worse. If he doesn't make it better, the ultras are at least going to still support him. And there isn't anything to lose here by appointing him. Like, he's not going to do anything revolutionary. You know, he's going to play like a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1 kind of thing. They're probably going to get better because there's somebody at the club who cares now. And there's really nothing to lose at this point. The vibes will improve. I think the ownership is probably thinking this will get some of the fans back on our side. And it should be okay. Like, I still don't think they're going to make Europe, but the vibes will be better going into next season, I think is the good thing.
He's not going to do a ton to develop the young talent that they have. He's not going to do a ton to get them back into the European competition conversation. From my standpoint, could be totally wrong. He could pull a Leicester, but he's going to play a very compact system. He's not going to lose the games that they're not supposed to lose. They're going to play with all their heart in the big games and at home where it matters. And again, at the end of the day, like you just said, I think that was the best way to put it. No one's going to blame him for any bad performances. No one's going to blame him for this bad season. Everything has been completely taken back from Ranieri here. He has full reign. This is his club. He's going to be able to do what he needs to do. And that was another thing that he came out and said, which I really loved. there's some clause in Dybala's contract that if he plays a certain amount of games or a certain amount of minutes, that they automatically have to renew him for X amount of time for X amount of money. And the management has been very anti-play Dybala. Ranieri came out and said, "I don't give a fuck. I'm playing who I want to fucking play. And if they don't like that, then they can walk me out the door. But he's gonna do what he wants to do," which I loved. If that's what they need in there, I'm excited to see what Rome was able to do with this. Again, I don't have high hopes, but I have much better hopes than I did after they sacked Zirkzee.
Yeah, and I would be very surprised if he doesn't right the ship a little bit. I'm very confident it will be better. He is a good coach. I don't think he's a great coach, but this is a good situation for him. As things stand, Roma are still only 4 points off of relegation right now. So I think he will get them out of that, but I don't really see that this is going to be a season to forget, regardless of where they finish. I don't think it really matters at this point because I don't think they're going to make up that 11 points and break into a European spot. So it's really, let's just stave off relegation, maybe bring our new players through, get the other new players acclimated to the league. And I think he's going to do a good job of that more. The team he put together at Leicester, obviously there was great recruitment around him, but he also got the most out of a lot of players that people would have otherwise never known. I mean, Riyad Mahrez was his creation. N'Golo Kante was his creation. Jamie Vardy was his creation. Even guys like Mark Albrighton, who is now just has been in the league, played a lot of different teams, really good player. Wes Morgan's legend. So I think it will be good. My question for you is, what do you think his objective is? And what do you think the club's objective is by hiring him?
I'll start with the club. I'll start with Ranieri. He's just bored. He's bored, and I'm serious. I mean, the guy went into retirement, and whether you're a player or manager of any sport, and you go from such a high octane lifestyle and high stress in just being in the day to day and being so deep into something, that when you do step away for even just a moment, you just go stir crazy. And I think that's literally what happened here. I'm not even kidding. So I think Roma came calling. That's one of his favorite clubs. Obviously, he said it. He was like, I'm taking this job. He probably hated sitting on the fucking couch watching Roma play like dog shit. He's yelling at his fucking wife in the kitchen saying, "Fuck this Roma team." He had an opportunity to fix it. That's what he got. From a club perspective, and I think that you can see this by the contract negotiation of putting him in the front office after his 1 year, is that they wanted to fix the culture. I think that they were on the right track with De Rossi. Obviously, President De Rossi, terrible fucking relationship, but they want the new management, the new ownership that's here, not new ownership, but the new front office, clearly wants that Roma culture back. And that to do that, you need to bring someone who's been there before. And so Ranieri's perfect for that, especially keeping him on in the front office going into next season. He's going to be able to keep some continuity in that culture building, help with the next managerial hire. And I think players are going to really enjoy that, the fact that he stays on thereafter, like a father figure.
Yeah, those are good points. I like that. My last thing that I forgot to mention this when I said why I didn't like this appointment. What I am worried about is he's kind of like this feel-good, positive guy. And I'm not sure guys like Mancini, Cristante, Pellegrini need that nurturing piece to get them back into shape. Which is, I mean, when we look at it, all these guys were their best under Mourinho, who's the fucking opposite of that. And it just whips everybody around, whips people into shape. So it could go either way. I mean, these guys could just be lethargic for the rest of the season, or they could be more positive. I see those guys all getting worse after this, honestly, because I think they're going to feel like pressure's off of us. We suck. Doesn't really matter. More of what we've seen, which is a little bit worrying.
I mean, Cristante's never been a lead. Mancini's on the list, and Pellegrini might be over the hump. So if that's really the three guys that end up being shit throughout the season, so be it. They can't just give up on Dovbyk.
I agree.
Ranieri said that Sule's a great player and loves to see the talent level out of him. They have a lot of other guys that they can still develop and put a lot of time into. So again, if these three bags are, and they're not even that old, but if these three guys are really the biggest losers of this season, they were already there. Ranieri's not the reason that they're the biggest losers. They were already there. So if their talent level doesn't come back up, I'm not going to put that on Claudio.
Fair enough. We'll see what happens with Roma. I think it's probably going to be less headlines for them through the rest of the season because at this point, like,
surely
good results, fine. Bad results, more of the same. Like, right? Like, it doesn't. I think it's more of who's playing matters and who's getting better more than
but it's going to be a lot of individual performances, and I think it's going to be who's playing them is really the measuring stick for the other team. I don't think Roma's.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, they've been dominating our podcast just because of everything that's gone on this year. So I think that's going to cool off, though, which I think what Roma wants. Like that is the point of this.
They are like Moise Kean. Maybe they don't want to be in the spotlight. They need to take a step back. They need to lose it.
Calcio culture just took him fully get it.
Yeah, it railed on Calcio culture.
Yeah, that's one guy. So that wraps up the manager news. We're not even close to This is gonna be a long episode. We're on one game a week, so we got to get through everything.
A week, baby.
The other thing that happened this week, Azzurri back in action, played Belgium, 1-0. Tonali, I think, first goal.
Tonali first Azzurri goal. That is confirmed. And not another stat of the day. Belgium, even though they've been ranked higher than Italy in the UEFA ratings for I don't know how long now, it's been. They have never beaten the Italian national team since like 1982. I don't know how that makes any sense, but Belgium apparently better than Italy. Not true. UEFA doesn't know what they're talking about, but so be it.
Yeah, other notable thing from this game is Nicola Ravella did start, which I was very happy about. He's a guy that I had highlighted that I really wanted to see play. And the other thing that's interesting is I think we're getting closer and closer to what the ideal, obviously we're a couple years away, but this is closer to what the number one World Cup team is going to be, I think. Donny Rooms in goal. Gio Di Lorenzo is the right center back. That's the one I think something.
That'll change.
Yeah, I don't know who it is. I don't think anybody's commanding that spot yet, really. So I think it's up for grabs. Then Bongiorno and Bastoni were playing. Obviously, Calafiori is most likely going to be the guy, but he's out hurt. And then cross the back three to wing backs, DeMarco, Cambiaso. I would be shocked to see anything different from that come World Cup time. And then for the first time in a while, we saw Tonali and Barella playing, and Fratesi, who Spalletti clearly likes. And I think Fratesi is going to continue to play. And then Retegui. Retegui is on that role. And it's really, we've been talking about it, who is going to be the last midfielder. In this game, it was Ravella. In the other game that happened this week, it was Locatelli. At other times, we've seen Fagioli. At other times, we've seen Ricci, who's hurt right now. So they're really testing people out in that spot, I think. I don't think Spalletti
As they should, though.
Yeah.
As they should be. I mean, there are way worse things to be fucking around with than trying to figure out who out of the guys that you just named should be the third midfielder. Italy's had way bigger problems before. This is simply not one of the ones that I would be upset about. And there's a bunch of great options. But I do agree. It's a giant question mark because I have not a clue. I don't know. I mean, in your opinion, do you really know what Spalletti wants to do with that third midfielder? Does he want to be more defensive? Does he want to go more offensive? In my opinion, it needs to be defensive, but I don't know.
It's tough because the way it's super tough. I think right now, the two players that are best for that role are Ricci and Fagioli, because
100%.
With Tonali and Varela, you got two guys that cover ground, contribute offensively, but don't excel at dropping in and pacing the game. I know you like what Tonali does when he joins the back line off the left or off the right, whatever it may be. But Spalletti wants like a Jorginho, and neither of them are that. Ricci and Fagioli are more that, and I think Ravella is a little bit of that. Locatelli, I don't think, fits into this team, which is unfortunate because he somehow worked his way back in here, and we thought he was kind of out of it. But he's not gonna he doesn't really do any things that Tonali do or Barella does, and he plays as that pacer worse than the other guys. And he's not a better attacking midfielder than Frattesi or Pellegrini, who we're not even seeing here. So I think he's the loser of all this. And I think right now, Spalletti doesn't know. Who do you want it to be? No, it's just to clear the air. We're assuming the guys that are going to play. I'm going to say Frattesi is going to play, but he's more of like a attacker kind of thing. So it's Barella, Tonali, in a third midfielder is essentially what we're trying to figure out who the third midfielder is, right? Because it's Frattesi or like Pellegrini.
Are we confident that he doesn't go 2 9s?
No,
Scamacca's back.
I would say Frattesi is in that like attacker conversation though. So it's still I don't consider him he's not in contention to play with Tonali and Barella in my mind. He's taking somebody else out in the team. Is my thought.
No, I mean, I would take out a second mortgage on the home that I don't own, or that I won't even own for a couple of years right now, to say that Barella and Tonali will be starting for Italy in the 2026 World Cup.
My point is, I remove Frattesi from he's the third midfielder in this conversation because I
agree with that.
Yeah,
I think
so. It's really like right now.
I agree.
Locatelli, like we just said, Locatelli, Beans, Rovella, Ricci. Who's your guy that you want right now?
First, I'm going to cross out Rovella because I put him more in the Locatelli capability range. I still think he's a good player. He's been great for Lazio this season, but I put him in the Locatelli, like, doesn't excel at anything in particular. And you're right. This position certainly needs to be a direct complement to two absolute workhorses who are not always going to be in a guaranteed spot on the field. I mean, Barella, you see him all the time. He might as well be playing the wing for Inter. And Tonali loves to just pick out the right spot in the field, wherever that might be, but it's not always going to be the same place. So you do need a little bit of continuity from a midfielder in there. And I think that I would put Ricci, a healthy Ricci, over Beans at this point, because I haven't seen consistent enough performance out of Beans. But that might be because he has so much competition from a Juve midfielder perspective that I think Ricci's just been playing better. But that's also just right now. I mean, we never talked about Ricci we never talked about Ricci before this, but when you look at it from the performances we've seen this year from Torino, I think it would be a travesty if they didn't have Ricci starting in that. And again, we have a year and a half, 2 years until we have to make the decision, but a lot of time for these guys to develop into something like that. I'm always big on the fact that I don't think you should pigeonhole guys if they have if they are even remotely showing that they have a skill set that could change their tactic position. So Ricci right now, could it be Beans? Yes. I don't see Beans Locatelli because I don't think you can teach an old dog new tricks. Rovella could certainly be moving in there, but the only things that I know is that Canali and Barella are certainly going to be there.
Yeah, for me, I think it's Ricci right now too. I agree. I think Rovella should make, as of right now, I would have Rovella on the team because I think he's actually closer to Barella and Tonali than Locatelli is. But Frattesi is more ahead of him, I think. I love Rovella. I'm also just super high on him.
You were hot on Rovella.
But I also did forget to mention, they played another game at the San Siro in Milan. They lost to France.
Are you just going to forget about that?
Yeah. They lost to France 3-1. Interesting enough, when they played France earlier, they won 3-1, and that was in France. And this was the Adrien Rabiot slap knots in the face game. 2 goals. Luca Dean scored a fucking screamer of a free kick, also had 2 assists. For me, these things kind of happen when you're like, you beat France 3-1 and you lost France 3-1. Like, I don't read too much into this Nations League thing. Like, they had already done their business in the Nations League. You would like to see them keep
this was a big game though.
Closer.
Actually they needed to win. They need to lose by 1 less because they actually came in second in the group by goal difference. So if they had lost 2-1, they would have been top of the group. So all they had to do was lose by 1. So it was a tough result for them, but they were just running so hot. This Italy team was running incredibly hot. And I think it comes down to a scenario like Napoli. As of late, they just needed to get knocked down a peg, and it was just bound to happen. And to do it, to lose to France is like, everyone fucking loses to France.
Yeah, I mean, in all the goals they conceded were off of set pieces, which is a bigger issue that's been going on in the Nations League. They've been conceding a lot on set pieces, which you wouldn't really expect from this team. But what I put into that is more fixable, if that's the right word, than other issues that had been going on. Like, this is kind of like lack of concentration, lack of clear instruction to some degree, because there's so much rotation in the team, even like who's marking who's doing what. And partially it's mentality, like,
for sure,
go attack the ball on defense, and they're not really doing that right now. So I'm not going to say too much on it. The one question we did want to talk about, though, is with how good they've been, what is the biggest difference between what we saw in the Euros and to now?
I say this completely unbiasedly. I'm trying really hard to be so unbiased here. Who is the one guy that is playing significant minutes now that wasn't playing significant minutes in the Euros?
Two guys.
One guy very much in particular. Tonali. I mean, Tonali is everywhere. This guy's got his fingerprints all over the goddamn pitch every single game that they played in this Nation League. And it's completely apparent that there was something completely missing from that midfield three during the Euros, that Tonali has now filled that spot. It's his to lose. I would say Tonali is playing better than Barella right now. Tonali being, and it's crazy to say, Tonali being Italy's best midfielder right now. Obviously, Barella, on average, over the years, obviously the best one. But Tonali's playing out of his goddamn mind, both for club and for Italy. So I think it's very hard to point anywhere else besides Tonali. And I'll give it to your guy, Retegui, who he had some time in the Euros behind Scamacca, but I don't think that, right, he's putting goals in the net, but I don't think it's been as much of a difference playing Retegui as much as playing Tonali.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking like the World Cup is going to be Tonali's announcement to the world of how good he is. Because I think the issue is that when he was at Milan, we knew how good he was. And I think people that watched a lot of Milan were like, oh my God, this guy is so fucking good. And not a lot of people watch Newcastle still. And they don't make enough noise anywhere where you get a ton of, and he was suspended for a year. Oh,
he was suspended for an entire year.
That you don't, so you don't really see him all that much. But the people that knew even Mats watched a shitload of Serie A and just didn't realize how good Tonali was. And granted, like, the year off made a big difference. But it's looking like that's going to be his platform to be like, I'm just as good as anybody. And he is making a difference. For me,
he's really fucking good.
The biggest difference from Euros to now is, number one, Spalletti has decided 100% essentially what the formation is. And then number two is players are just performing. All right. DeMarco isn't playing like shit. Di Lorenzo isn't playing like shit. Cambiaso is really fucking good and is now playing regularly. Like, this team is starting to look really, really scary. Like, that Tonali-Varela pairing is so unfair.
Dynasty.
Like, they're both good enough to play for any club in the world.
I think you have to put, I don't even think it matters who the third midfielder is. You put the Italy midfield three up against any midfield three in the world, and I think you're talking about them in the same conversations as England and France. England, you have Jude, Declan, maybe James Madison is that good by then, or it's Cole Palmer playing as a 10. You go to France and it's Griezmann probably won't be in the midfield for him, but Kamavinga, Chouameni, Fofana, maybe
Pedri. The other one's like Pedri, Rodri. Like, they're in that conversation, definitely.
But it doesn't. But I'm not mad that Italy's in a conversation with Pedri, Rodri, and Dani Olmo or
Gavi, whoever it may be, Fabian Rui. There's so many guys.
Fabian Rui was what I'm thinking of, but I mean that is elite status. That's what Italy needs. That's the Italy of old. That's the Marchisio Pirlo days.
The roast. Yeah, a lot of good guys.
By 2026, Italy could be back to that status, which would be phenomenal. Just absolutely fucking phenomenal. But I do want to say DeMarco, shouts to DeMarco, finally playing out of his mind for Italy, and that has made a huge difference too. You don't typically see it for a wing back, but I mean it's It's actually insane how well he's been playing. He's setting up the entire offense from that left side, and it's crazy to watch.
He's doing it for Inter, too. He's just absolutely flying right now. He's so goddamn good. But, yeah, we have no Azzurri until March, which is...
That's a good break, though. I kind of like that.
Oh, I love it.
That's a lot of time to simmer on the momentum that they've got going.
And it's a heat check for all the new guys, like the Ravellas, the Ricci's, maybe that other guy who we don't really know anything about. What's his name?
You have Leicester?
Okoli, right? Okoli. We'll see what he's doing. I always forget the guy's name on Chelsea. He's starting to play a little bit more.
On Chelsea. Oh, the striker.
Cassadai. He's starting to play a little bit more. So, yeah, I think it's just time for Spalletti to just sit back and watch and pick the next guy. So it's going to be interesting. But that wraps up the Azzurri discussion, and we are back to Serie A. International break is terrible. I hate it. We're back. We got match week 19. The Scudetto battle is back on, and we have 2 games. Ton of headlines about these 2 games. We're pulling these out. Our games to watch. First one, the Calcio Culture Derby. We got Mott's against Logs because I've removed myself from the situation. Bianconeri at Rossoneri, Juventus at Milan, battle of 7th and 6th place. 2 teams that really have not hit their stride yet. New managers, new signings, teams that are very much in a transition phase, and it's going very differently for both of them. Big game.
Huge. This is actually, no, because Napoli and Inter played. This is the second biggest game of the season. Stan. It's the second biggest game of the season thus far.
This is a big game. The
storylines are a lot closer than you would think for the way that these 2 teams started. I didn't realize that Juve still hasn't lost, but they have 6 draws.
Yeah, no, that's been their issue. They don't score.
That's not good.
Yeah,
that's certainly not good. I'm excited for this game for one reason, and it's going to be a telltale sign of how well Fonseca can manage this team. Juve is clearly the ball-dominant team, and they're going to do that. I know they're going to do that. They're going to play possession, which actually puts AC in the best spot that we've been in consistently over the season. That's going to allow us to actually counterattack as our main threat. As of the last couple of games, it's been weird where we're actually ball heavy, ball dominant. And then the only time that we're dangerous is that if the team gets in transition and we stop them mid-attack and just have a 4-on-3 layout finishes or Kulisic cuts to the defense. That's how we've scored goals. That's our only opportunities that we're ever going to have this game. We're not going to be on the ball at all. So I think it'll be interesting because I think that plays into our strengths. I think a lot of players for AC will be uncomfortable because we've been so ball dominant as of late, but I really do think that puts us at the biggest advantage. And then at the other side of it, no Dusan. No Dusan to fuck around with Pavlovic, with Shaw, with Tomori. Juve's going to have to play somebody out of position. Yildiz, maybe he's playing a false Larry Cosençao has been playing really well. Maybe you give him a shout. So, I mean, Vos, what do you think? But I really do think that this is a best case scenario for AC.
Well, I agree because as good of a defensive coach as Thiago Motta is, in games where Juve have not been on the ball, they haven't been particularly great. Their defending has been with the ball more than without the ball. And I talk about the game I pick out for that, which granted could have been an anomaly, is the Stuttgart game where they literally got their teeth kicked in and they were defending and trying to counterattack. So I don't really see that happening as much. I think the storyline in this game is Juan out, and then it's going to be wing play, right? Because it's Leao against probably Savona, and then Pulisic against Cambiaso, and then on the flip side of things, Emerson against Yildiz, and Weah probably against Teo Hernandez. And I could see Tim Weah exploiting the space behind Teo Hernandez very well. And obviously Yildiz, Emerson Royale is a interesting matchup to say the least. The other storyline of this game is midfield war. These are
It's going to be
like
a war.
Thuram, Fofana, Reinders, Koop Miners, and then probably Locatelli. Somebody like that, Locatelli, and probably, I don't know, Loftus-Cheek, maybe. Who knows who the third midfielder is at this point? I don't really know who it's going to be. That's a war. That's an absolute war in there. And then a couple other storylines for me also are, who is Juve's striker? Like, this is a big moment for somebody to knock Dusan out of the team, maybe. And who knows? Maybe he does play Yildiz through the middle. Mbangula comes back into the team. He has a plan. He then has a chance to solidify his place in the team. Maybe Cambiasso plays for the pitch. I don't know. And maybe we see like a new lineup that we haven't seen at all from Mata. And it might be that. It might be Conchesauer, Yildiz, Bangula as kind of like our front three, we'll call it, which would force them to play a little bit differently. It might be better. I don't know if it will be. And then the other storyline is Kalulu's going to be starting this game. Return to Milan, who kind of sent him packing for a bag of fucking chips, look like a bunch of idiots. And now he's coming in and would literally be Milan's best defender if he was on the team.
I think Mori might cry when if he starts and lines up against Kalulu. There's literally be tears from the guy's eyes. But I mean, all these storylines are incredible for this. And this is one of the highest caliber games you're going to see. It's at the San Siro, the history there. Juve, AC Milan, Titans, war in the midfield, wing play out the yin yang. I mean, this is going to be goalie war. Mignon versus
Di Gregorio. Yeah, two of the best goalies in the league.
Di Gregorio. I mean, it's going to be a phenomenal show. I actually do think it's going to be very exciting. I don't think either of these teams are going to
0-0 rock slide. This is what this score is.
But all right, so I was going to say 1-1, but even from that standpoint, it's going to be exciting stuff. I think high XG, low goals. That's my thing.
Yeah, I mean, last time Juve were at the San Siro, it was a 4-4 game, and Yildiz cooked. So who knows? Maybe they're going to come in feeling good. A couple questions we have in this one. I'm going to start with you, because I'm not going to answer my own question first, even though it was you who wrote this down. Who is this a bigger game for, Milan or Juve?
I asked this question, but I didn't even think about answering it.
I have an answer. If you want me to go first.
No. I'm gonna answer it. This is a bigger game for AC. This is a bigger game for AC. They're at home, coming off of some crazy results, Real, Cagliari, against a team that plays into how AC seemingly wanted to play or play their best at. This is a bigger game for AC. This is their game in hand to get back into that top six or the top six conversation. I really do think that this rests on Fonseca's shoulders to show that he has had 2 weeks to prepare for this game and actually did something. So I'll go with AC.
Yeah, I agree. It's a big game for Fonseca for sure. And being at home and being behind Juve are fine with a draw. If they take 2 points from the San Siro, they are thrilled with that. They played Inter, played Milan in like 3 weeks, played both of them. If you take 2 points from that, you're fucking happy with it. You're 6 points clear of Milan. Like at this point, we're just going to defend where we are in the table and then move on. But yeah, I mean, Milan got to get wins.
I mean, I think that just answers though. Is Milan happy with the draw? No. Does Milan need the win? Yes. Is Juve happy with the draw? Yes. Who's the bigger game for? AC. I think that's.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's do it for.
And moving on to the other question that I had, what do you want to see from both teams in this game? Because I have a very clear picture of what I want to see from Milan, and I want to talk about this first. Be that counterattacking team that you want it to be.
Yes.
I am sick of Fonseca not creating an identity for this team and like playing around with the fact that he wants to be a counterattacking team, but not really doing it. Be that. Be good at defense in counter. Like if that is what you are, this is the time to do it. Don't fuck around. Give them the ball and go from there.
You took the words out of my mouth. I'm not even going to say anything more on that.
What about Juve for you? What do you want to see from them?
What I want to see from Juve is, from my perspective, aside from Leao and Savona, Teo, I don't care who they put out there, if Teo plays good defense, I think everywhere else on the pitch, Juve have a pretty decent argument to say that they are 1-for-1 better than the AC Milan players. I want them to exploit those deficiencies. I want to see Yildiz pick Emerson apart. I want to see Koop Miners get a goal here. I want to see their midfield absolutely tear us apart. Juve have incredible talent position by position, and I don't think that they know it. I don't think that they've come to the full confidence level that they can. And the way that this AC team has shown itself to be, they can be very feeble is the word. And I think that Juve need to take advantage of that lack of confidence from the AC Milan side. So one-on-one situations, team play in the midfield, defensive solidity aside from Savona, they're probably at the double. Kalulu's probably just going to play over there, and he knows layout, so that might actually work out really well for Juve. I want to see Juve just play like they know they're good. I think that's what I want to see.
Yeah, interesting. I was thinking all the exact same things. They've been ball dominant but blunt. It's surprising because it's Milan. Like, this shouldn't be a game where it's like, let's sharpen our knives in this game. But I think they should be looking at this like, their defense fucking sucks. We have a bunch of really good players. Let's take all this possession and turn it into goals. And somehow I'm looking at this game as, here's your chance to do it. And this kind of relates back to both teams. And this is a game for the big players to get things done. Like Koop Miners, get it done this game. Like, announce you are Juve. You are Juve's best player. You're supposed to be one of the best players in the league. We haven't really seen it yet all that much this year. Yildiz, same thing. He's your number 10. He did it against Inter. You can't just do it one time. You got to do it against other teams. For Milan, the question we had around Pulisic, can he get it done in big games? He has. You can't just do that once or twice. You have to do it all season long. And it's the same thing with Leao. So that's the big storyline. This is a game for the big game, the big players to get things done.
But I think at the end of the day, that's what's going to decide the game is whose best players play better. That's it.
Yeah. I do think the midfield's going to be a stalemate. Everything's going to be through the wing. Everything. Yeah, it should be good. I think you're right. I don't think it's going to be a rock fight out, but that's Juve Milan. The other really interesting game is Roma Napoli. And this one's in Naples at the Maradona. Pretty much the hardest game you possibly have as a manager for your first game. How do you see this going? Manager bump? Manager?
Well, people forget that we were going to talk about Roma after the signing, but here we are. But some manager bump. I really do. I think Napoli is going to come off of a very sleepy international break. They're kind of sitting on their high horse. They're feeling good. And Roma might steal a point or two here. I mean, it's not, well, the manager bump is a thing. So like, let's not dance around that fact. It's a real thing. The double manager bump from a guy who just loves your club, it has nothing to lose, cannot be understated. Do I think that Roma matches up well with Napoli at all? Not particularly. Do I think that Roma's in form at the moment? Not particularly. But do I think the manager bump is a real thing? I do. So we'll go with that. I mean, Napoli at home is not something you ever ask of for your first game in any situation. I don't think it's going to be fun for Roma, but I do think that there's a chance here that, heart and might can show through. And I think Napoli in some games, especially against Atalanta, they didn't have that heart. They didn't have that might. It went away very quickly. So if Roma can get a quick one, I think a quick one really changes the game.
Yeah. My heart says Roma has a chance. My mind says Antonio Conte mentality at home. They're going to fuck them. I don't know if it's going to happen. I think the Lukaku matchup in this game is going to be tough for Mancini and Kvaratskhelia on that side. And the problem is we don't really know now what the lineup's going to be. This is a tough game to get your ideas across to the team going against Napoli. What kind of works in your favor is Antonio Conte doesn't have something to game plan for necessarily because he's kind of guessing. From a Napoli perspective, they are terrible. They've been terrible all year. Let's get it done. From Roma, it's fresh start. there's hope. We can get it done. And like a little piece of me feels like they're not going to win. There's no way they win.
No.
I think a piece of me thinks they get a draw, and a draw would actually be phenomenal for them, which is exactly why I broke out the big horn. This is for Roma. This is for Claudio Ranieri. For those of you listening and not watching, I broke out my second big Italian horn here, and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm holding it over Roma, over Claudio Ranieri. I'm not even hoping for a draw. I'm just hoping for not a bloodbath and that there's something in the positive direction. I think I'm only going to break this out in dire situations, and this is dire. So it's out.
This is dire. I mean, I really do, from a tactical perspective, I do a bit of confidence in the fact that the one thing that Ranieri is going to game plan for this is be compact. Like they're not, I really don't think they're going to let up stupid goals. If they let up goals, it'll be pure brilliance, but they're not going to get beat just by ball watching or having someone dribble through the midfield like Scott McCollum.
It's optimistic, dude.
It's optimistic, but I think that that's what Ranieri is going to be talking about this entire week.
I know.
And that's the only thing that can save them then is just Sule brilliance or Dybala brilliance, Dolbeck on the cross. They get one early, and then they put Napoli on the back foot, which is what Atalanta did, and it seemed to work for them. I just think that that's the only thing that I'm not saying that's going to happen. I just think that's the only thing that
I'm just so worried about this defense and the mentality that they have, because so many goals Roma conceded this year were just lack of focus and lack of desire from whoever it may be. Mancini and Diga, who I think has actually been very good. He's gotten worse in the last 2-3 match weeks. And against Napoli, you cannot do that. They are going to score on you and score a lot.
To stop you there, though, lack of focus and lack of desire, I think, are two things that's what you're bringing Ranieri in you for.
Maybe
it's not for skill level,
but this was
it's for focus.
But this was my concern
for desire.
That's what I was in my head. I was like, they need to bring in like an Allegri, like somebody that's no bullshit, not like wipe your ass for you kind of guy. And it could work, but I could very, very much seeing it. We have nothing to lose now. Let's continue to suck.
I would hope that from a professional player that their mentality is we have nothing to lose. Let's just keep sucking.
I think it will be.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, this is going to be a good game because it's Ranieri's first game in charge, and Napoli bounced back because they went lost draw. And their tough run of games here. For them, this is probably their easiest game in this tough run. Like, they got to win. Like, you're at home, you got to win this one. And this is a Conte game where I think he'll be thinking, let's go win it. So I don't think this one will be boring. There are going to be some chances.
That is the one thing that really is going against Roma here, is that Napoli know they need to win.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like Juve going to San Siro and be like, I'm okay with a draw. This is Napoli at home. We just came off draw, loss, draw, whatever. Need to win.
Yeah, definitely.
Until Saturday.
We do have other games for you to watch. It's not just these two. If there's other games you want to watch, we're going to be talking about them right now. Inter Milan going to Hellas Verona. This is a game that Inter have struggled with this year. These little shitty teams that aren't playing great away from home. This is going to be like a 3-2 Inter win, and they're going to pull it out somehow late. Like, that's the kind of thing I could see happening here. Because Inter...
Talk about lack of
form, you're going to say?
No, you talk about lack of focus. Like, Inter's lack of focus comes out gigantically in games like this as of this season. So, I think you're right. I think Verona has a chance. I think Verona gives them a little bit of a heart attack.
Yeah, but Verona could also just lay an egg and suck.
Very easily.
Could this game? Moving on, Atalanta going to Parma. I actually think this is a tough matchup for Atalanta because of the space that Parma want to attack and how they want to play. It's going to, this is a game where Atalanta are going to create a lot of opportunities, yes, but I think they're going to concede a couple or at least give up chances. So but Atalanta are really good, and they're going to win, and
Atalanta are really good. They're really good.
And they won 5
I think Atalanta roll.
Yeah,
they roll.
You're probably right. I just think Parma's going to be dangerous in this. I think that's what I'm thinking.
If we've learned anything about Parma this season, it's that they're fake fucking news. So I'm not gonna feed into it.
They're in 13th.
Fake news.
Cagliari going to new manager Genoa.
Cooked. They're cooked.
Who? Cagliari?
Cagliari's cooked. Patrick Vieira, new manager bump.
No way. I think this is Cagliari win or tie. 100%.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, I don't know. You read the next one. I'm checking the money on that one.
No, next. Actually, it's funny that you say the next one because this one's my favorite of the bottom tier games this week. Fiorentina going to the lake. Fiorentina playing at Como. I think Fiorentina keep their form there, which is unfortunate because I actually do find this to be a really important game for Como. They finally got a draw after a string of 3 losses in their last game before the break. You would have hoped that they had a bit of an easier matchup coming out of the international break to get some steam going before the end of the year, end of the calendar year, that is. And I don't think Fiorentina is going to let up at all. I think that Fiorentina need, it's not that they can, it's that they need to keep the form that they're in, to keep the momentum, and to drop points at a game like this against a 15th place Como, I think would take a pretty big step back.
Yeah, Como you have to take seriously, but like,
you do.
I think we look at them as being better than they are because they're kind of one of the better of the rest kind of thing. If that's the right way of saying it, you know what I mean? Like, but they haven't been great for a little bit of time here. 5 games, last 5, 3 losses, 2 draws. Like, Fiorentina is significantly better than them.
Significantly better. This to me is like a 3-0, 2-0 game. Como have like 1.2 XG.
Yeah, I'm actually changing my Colby pick right now.
Mid-Sully Colby.
Yeah, I'm changing it up.
That's a first. That's a first.
That was a first. But yeah, for Como, this is a scary game. You're at home, though. This is one of those games these are the games that I'm worried about with Fabregas. Do not try to win this game. Get the draw. They are better than you, and I don't think he's going to do that, which is my concern for Como, where, like, if they lose this game, they are back in the relegation zone, potentially, depending on other results. Like, they're 1 point clear right now. And this is a game where other teams are going to just try to get that 1 point, and that's who you are competing with right now. So you have to be aware of that. And for Fiorentina, it's 5 in a row. We are better. Like, keep it going. I saw an interesting thing today that I would like to see in this Fiorentina game. And I think it was a Buffon quote talking about Allegri and versus Conte. And he said, with Conte, it was like insane preparation, like crazy guy to play for. And with Allegri was like a saint compared to him. And he said he didn't name the team, but before a team comes, like before a match, they went into the locker room, we're getting ready to like hear all the tactics. And Allegri breaks out the board and just writes like a huge number 3 on the board. And they're all like, what's going on? And Allegri goes, you're 3 times better than them. Just go out and win. That's what I would like to see from Palladino in this game. Like, just get them 100%. Fired up. Everybody's feeling great. Like, it's kind of weird because like, it's like you should beat Como, but it's also a good result to beat them, especially at the lake, which is kind of paradoxical, but it is interesting.
Big game for both sides. I agree with your take on Como. Just get the draw. Fiorentina rolls here, though. And that brings us to another northern matchup. We've got Monza going to Turin, playing Torino. I could see Monza taking some points here.
I can, too. I have been very disappointed with Torino as of late, although Tony Sanabria scored a banger. But I think Monza can get points here. I think they should get points here. Torino have been disappointing. I'm not sure Ricci is going to be healthy for this game.
Doubt it.
So I think Torino are going to struggle to create. They've been solid defensively. But Monza, again, it's risky because do you say, let's just try to get a point here, or do we try to beat them? And it's a slippery slope because Shea Adams and Tony Sanabria can hurt you very quickly if you're not compact and you're not and you're kind of giving them the area to run into.
Is Shea Adams not hurt still?
Is he? I didn't think he was. I could be wrong.
He might be injured, so I do think that that's a really bad sign for Torino. Really bad sign.
That would be very bad.
I see. No, they're at Torino. It's a draw. It's gonna be a draw. It's gonna be a draw. I see a draw.
I think he is hurt. I think you're right. I think it is a draw. I think you're right.
But I think Shea Adams is hurt. But in any case, not a game to watch, but a game to just monitor, not watch. A game to watch potentially though. You like these two teams, folks?
Yeah, Bologna going to Rome to play Lazio. Interesting chess match here. Because
Bologna have a lot to gain out of this game.
And Bologna have been playing good. I mean, important to remember, 3 wins out of their last 3. They've been playing good and are looking more dangerous. For Lazio in this game, it's going to be more of, can we get the ball to go score? Because I think Lazio are miles better than Bologna right now. But Bologna are just so good at just not giving away opportunities that Lazio are going to be pushed a little bit deeper than I think they're comfortable with. We've seen them play deep and play very well, but it's going to be interesting. I just don't know how many opportunities they're going to create. And I think Nuno Tavares is going to continue to be a very, very big piece to this team, especially in this game. From a Bologna side of things, Simone Castro is playing very well. I was kind of out on him, and I've kind of come around to realize it's really hard to play for an Italiano and you get very little service. He's going against 2 center backs that can get got and like get your team rolling. They can get got. And Italiano should be saying that. You can go get them. This is a game for you to like stamp down. I think Gannon Doy is out, which is a massive, massive, massive loss. But Lewis Ferguson, I'm not sure he's able to start yet, but he is going to be available. But that really is tough. Now Gannon Doy is very scary.
I think Orsolini's been playing much better.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point,
season, which is huge. Which is huge. I think this Bologna team can really show where the cracks can be found in Lazio, which I don't think other teams have been able to consistently or at least intentionally show. Lazio are at home. They played phenomenally well at home at Stadio Olimpico. So, do I see another draw here? Maybe.
This was my former Colby.
That was your former Colby pick. But I don't. Now that obviously we've been hot on Lazio for the past couple of weeks now. But now that we're looking at this, I'm not so confident that Lazio has a walk in the park against this team.
No, certainly not. I think this is a very difficult game, and this is a little bit of heat check kind of thing. I would say heat check
is perfect for Lazio.
It's games like this that will set you apart from, like, you can show up, and if you beat like Napoli, you beat Inter, like, great result, right? But the measuring stick is kind of like against these teams that are tricky. Can you continue to play well against them? Which is where like teams like Milan have struggled in the past.
I also think that the amount that Bologna can gain from winning this game is a lot more than what they can lose from losing this game. So I think they'll be on the front foot, and I think Lazio needs to be ready for that. So we'll see.
Big game for Lukaku. Big game for Lukaku too if he's playing. They're going to need him to play well. Yeah. Keeping it rolling in Empoli. Udinese going to Empoli.
Battle of the Mid.
I think Empoli are going to win this one.
Yeah, I don't think Udinese even touched the ball.
Udinese have been cooling off since their start to the season.
People forget they were top of the table.
And Empoli have kind of been transitioning to a more expansive team. Like, very good defensively, yes. But we've seen bits and pieces of them attacking really well. So I'm interested in this one. I just don't see Udinese creating that many chances against them, though.
I don't think Udinese get the ball at all in the attacking third.
Yeah, and Empoli are good at home. I think Empoli win. I think this is a game they can actually go and win, and I would like to see it get done.
I think they need to. I think they need to win this game. Udinese is in horrible form, too.
Horrible.
Lost 4 less. Terrible. But then, the rock fight of the weekend, baby. We love a good rock fight. Lecce is going to Venezia. Do not under any circumstances, I don't care what the hell's going on. I don't care. Babysit your grandmother's ish. You are not watching Lecce at Venezia. Please do not.
I think Venezia are going to win this game. I think it's going to be kind of entertaining.
1-0.
This is a big game. This is a really big game. Lecce 18th, Venezia in 20th. Lecce on 9 points, Venezia on 8. We talk about some of the other results going on. A win for either of these teams gets you out of that bottom 3, most likely. So they're both going to be going for this. Like, Lecce are not going for a draw at Venezia. They have to go for the win. And Venezia are good at home and have been good at home. Venezia got to win.
This is how you know Vos is just simply a Serie A fan, because he just got so excited over a battle of 18th and 20th, more so than he was excited over Bologna versus Lazio.
I am excited for this game. I might even change my call again to Venezia to win.
This man lives for Serie A. You can just see it on his face. If you're watching, you can hear it in his voice if you're listening. This man cannot wait to watch Lecce Venezia. He's going to watch it for the entire planet because no one else is going to watch it. But Vos will be tuned in. Plus, he doesn't give a fuck about this game except for that one team just can't score.
Venezia is better than where they are. And we talked about this actually when they got relegated last time. They were actually good when they got relegated.
I did say that.
And I don't know why they can beat teams and they can draw games. And this is one for them to win. Checking the odds here, they're plus 120 to win. And I do like that one.
No, you need to keep your.
I'm sticking to the one because the one I
like your current pick.
Yeah, my current pick is a great pick.
Phenomenal pick. So it's
phenomenal pick. So yeah, but that's all the games. So now it's time for everybody's favorite segment.
Colpi di Luna.
Colpi is back. I hate weeks without Colpi, but we're back. Mats has given his remote pick. Logs is here. I think this is the first time Logs has ever given a pick live.
That's actually fairly true. It's been one game a week and it's been Mondays, and Colpi's are big Wednesday days. But today is Tuesday, but we get to do Colpi today. But I'll take Mats' pick for him right now.
Yeah.
We got Colpi. Mats, did he win last week?
I think Mats hit last week.
Mats maybe hit last Colpi. In any case, this weekend, Mats is going over 2.5 goals. That means 3 goals need to be scored. Minus 194, so it might as well be a lot.
You didn't say the game.
I know I didn't say the game, but people are thinking. They're thinking, what game is for sure 3 goals? What game am I looking at? Am I looking at Inter Verona? Is it Monza? No, it can't be Monza Torino. Roma Napoli? Did Napoli roll 3-0? No. Atalanta at Parma. High octane fight here. We got over 2.5 goals as the first leg of the Colpi. Lock it in. Minus 194.
That has moved, actually. We're now at minus 198, so that is a slump buster from Mats, some are calling it.
That is a slump buster. That's a depressing loss if that happens. That's buster. But 198, the people love that pick. You could tell 198 on the board. My pick to a game I'm not going to watch, nor should anybody. Lecce at Venezia. Both teams to score, the answer being no. Plus 102. Even money for one of those teams not to put the ball in the back of the net seems like a lot. That's why we're taking it. That's why it's in the Colpi. That's why you bet it. Take it. Both teams not to score. Lecce Venezia.
That's a good one. And I think you're coming off of a good result here recently, right?
I think I'm going to run a 2 game.
Because I'm checking the scoreboard right now. I started keeping a scoreboard, Parsons. I didn't update it this last week. I'm checking it right now. Logue hit Empoli double chance last time.
Good shit.
And then I didn't hit because I had Atalanta minus 1.5 at Udinese. And then I think Mats hit over 2.5.
I think Mats did it. You did let us
Verona at Fiorentina he had. What happened in that one? 4 goals. So he hit that one. I guess I'm the only one. Mats hadn't hit a leg for, I looked, it was very low. So that was not on the board. Which brings me to my pick. I've tossed around a lot of things. I changed my pick mid-episode. Beginning of the episode,
crazy.
I had Lazio minus 120, money line against Bologna. realized mid-episode there was some value elsewhere. I tossed around Venezia money line against Lecce at home 5 minutes ago, plus 120. But where we fell, Fiorentina at Como, Fiorentina money line plus 130. Insane
Too much
value
value.
there.
That's too much
in
value.
third have won their last 5 games. Like, I don't know where this is coming from. Como's in 15. 15. And hasn't won it yet.
The book is sleeping on Fiorentina.
I don't think they've realized what's going on there yet. I've got Fiorentina plus 130. That brings the whole Colpi to plus 599.
Not too bad.
And I actually like a lot of these picks. Usually there's one pick where I'm like, that's a bad pick. Usually it's Mott's. The history has shown. And I like all of these. I really like Mott's pick. Over 2.5 in the Atalanta game is a really good one because they're going to score a bunch of goals.
Always. Always a good pick. But Paisans, you know the deal. You bet the Colpi. You bet all the 3 legs singularly of the Colpi. You bet the whole Colpi. You put $100 down on the Colpi this week, you're pulling back in $700, my friends. That's what you do. We make you money. We get you happy. And we get you through the weekend. Just don't watch Lecce at Venezia.
I'll give you the summary on Monday.
There you go. That's what Vos is here for. To tell you about all the fucking shit he gave. That's it.
Look, nervous follow us because people got to start talking to us more because we're loving the comments and questions we're getting.
Paisans, we're loving the interactions, but simply not enough. I can't talk to myself for this long. It's hard. I'm not Vos. I can't do a whole episode by myself. You can find us everywhere you want. X, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, at Calcio Culture FC. And you know where to listen. Apple Pods and Spotify, right where you are now. Vos. Ain't got no Mott's this week, baby. Take us away.
Yeah, funny enough, because we got no Mott's this week, and it's a Colpi episode, I have two pieces I have to say for you guys. My name's Mott's, and I'm putting $100 on Juve this week. So you guys have to do that too. So the real thing that we need to say is, Paisanos, do not be a gagoose, and Forza Calcio Culture.